But like you just said, he's one of the best in the world.
You'll see Lucena will start proceedings off from what's called so-called weekend with the wind blowing left to right. Spain get the first chance to side out. And side out they do.
Yeah, it looked
Gavira on the right side.
Yeah, it looked like Phil may have touched the net on that one, so that that was the fault.
It is Lucena they go after, and it is Lucena with a fast arm that just shoots high over the top.
Yeah, with a set like that, a nice up and down set, it's easy for Nick to take a look at the court and roll it over the block.
Yeah, he was very impressive, Lucena, in the World Championships, where he took a 4th place with previous partner Theo Brunner. It was Theo Brunner that got served most of the time in that competition, but in transition, Nick was very deadly. That's the first, well, kill point for the Spanish.
Yeah, great shot on the angle there. Great shot on the angle that Nick couldn't quite make it to the ball.
See, what I love about this Spanish team is their consistency. That's the reverse play that's just brought back across the front of the net. Spain, they've won in Moscow already this year, but it's their second Final Four of the season, so... Oh, through the net.
You will rarely ever see that from a player where they don't even hit it near the court and away from the net. But that's a testament of where the wind is coming from. It's blowing the ball away from him, and he just missed it.
And you can see he's always chasing after that one. Almost through the hoop.
Hey, that's what the wind will do to you, and the wind just picked up, so it's blowing pretty good across the court.
St. John, the game is changing with the physicality of players nowadays, and serving tough is crucial even in these high winds.
Yeah, no, serving is critical. You got to take advantage of the wind when it's blowing in your face, and you really got to hit a hard serve. But if you're not able to do that, then you got to at least use the wind and make the wind move the ball around so it's more difficult to pass.
Small jump serves from Spain, this time from Herrera, who makes the ace. Lucena struggling to the left side. Big service pressure from Spain.
Now that's a perfect spot. You split the players in half. Split the players in half so that neither one really knows who to go for it. But Nick made a great dive for it and got his hand on it, just couldn't control it.
Lucena, who has received very well all week. Dalhausser is a target this time from the left side. Scooped in defense. Gavira chasing after every ball here, but that one from Dalhausser was too potent from the thin beast as the teams change ends.
And that started with a really tough serve. Phil made a great pass on that, lunging out to his left. Nick makes a good set up and down. It wouldn't have happened, though, unless Phil made the pass that he did. And then, of course, Phil hit that ball from about 6 feet off the net, and he can power a ball that far off the net because he's so big and so agile.
It's going to be Phil with his goofy toss jump serve on the so-called good end, and that's a bullet from Dalhausser, who chases in to try and get the block. Herrera is dug from Lucena. Lucena a chance to transition here, gets his feet to the ball well, and sends the ball on the angle. Nothing Spain can do about that one.
Well, you know, when you got Phil up blocking at the net, he takes away so much court that Nick can line up inside the block and really line up the hitter. So he does that and makes a great dig, and then he goes up to spike the ball as the defense backs up, giving him open net.
This is textbook Dalhausser stuff. Jump serving, bombs from the baseline, and then charging in to get into a good starting position to block. Here he goes again. Herrera's the target. It's a quick flat ball. Dalhausser waits and goes for the swap, but I think it's just wide, St. John.
Yes, it was. He got his hand on that ball. He reached up with one hand to get maximum height, just gets its hand on it, but he bats it out of bounds.
The Spanish team are a force to be reckoned with. A lot of conversation so far about the new pairing of Dalhausser and Lucena, but Herrera Gavira really won in Moscow already this year. They haven't quite managed to back it up on the European or the World Tour, but that's the way to go from Pablo Herrera.
No, he hammered that jump serve. Very difficult serve to pass, and Phil just missed it. Couldn't get his arms in the right position, and what we call is a shank. He shanked that one.
Let's see if Herrera can back it up. A silver medal with Bosma in 2004 Olympics, losing to one of the best teams ever, Manuel and Ricardo. Didn't quite have the world champs that they were expecting, the Spanish team, only managing a 17th, again losing to Manuel and Ricardo. That time the serve from Herrera is long, so it brings Nick Lucena back to serve. And one thing I've learned about Nick Lucena, Sinjin, is he loves to get teams to play to his speed. He loves to play quick from the baseline and move play along very, very sharp.
There it is again. Phil channeling that attack to the cross court where Nick is just waiting for it, but Nick couldn't control that one.
Fascinating stuff here. Herrera Gavira, who have only lost one game this week to Manuel and Ricardo. Again, seems like they're a bit of a bogey team for Spain. As Gavira goes for the Hollywood jump serve, trying to cut the ball along the front of the net this time.
That's the Hollywood one, right? Is that what that is?
Anything that's got a little bit of guts for glory.
A little flash, a little show.
Dalhausser with an ace. That sends us to the change of end. Dalhausser is starting to fire up behind the baseline.
Hey, I can't see the screen at all. So
Dalhausser, after the change of ends, wondering if the weather conditions will change the outcome of the serve. No, it's a good serve that tries to pick out Pablo Herrera, who's off the net, so there's no block. Dalhausser breaks, but Lucena does get the scoop in defense. Dalhausser's hat's off, but he's going late to get the swap, but it's off the left hand and out of play from Dalhausser. Was that timing from Dalhausser? Vision in the blocks, Injin?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's because he lost his hat. He lost his hat and he was out of sorts. So
is that enough to make you lose your focus?
Yeah, no, it was a great hit off his outside hand. They made a great. I mean, Phil was reaching into the angle, hit down towards line, off the outside hand.
Certainly both of these Spanish players have very good vision in their approach. Lucena off the reverse set this time, and now it's a roll reversal. Lucena on the block, good in defense, full stretch with the right hand.
Well, the
9-7.
Spain the serve to Lucena, but it's long this time. Lucena with the ball in hand. Both of these players from Florida, and they're off the back of a very, very important victory last week at the Manhattan Beach Open, winning in the final. Right side, that time a little bit of luck for Gavira. Ball getting caught inside his left shoulder, I think, there, Sinjin.
Well, I'll tell you what, the wind blew the ball away from him, and by the time he went to attack it, it was much lower, hit the top of the net, and just rolled in. Kind of lucky, if you ask me.
It's lucky because it brings Spain to a 2-point lead, and they'll be looking to get to the technical timeout in charge. Lucena's the target again, but the platform and the angle of the pass is good. It's a good late block from Spain, though. So second chance for Dalhausser from the right. Jumps in angle, Pablo Herrera, and gets the point that Spain need.
Yeah, Phil let that ball drop too much, hit it off the tape, and Herrera was right there. You know, if Phil hits it at his peak, at the height, he's going over these guys, but that time, you know, you hit it close to the top of the net, and any of the blockers out here will block that ball.
Spain have won 4 out of the last 5 here, and they're going to go into the technical timeout in control. Technical timeouts after 21 points. Nick Lucena taking his very deep service receive position, Sinjin.
Yeah, you know what he's doing? Right when they make contact, he's moving into the court. So he's ending up basically where you should be, but he's starting back so he has a little bit of forward momentum so he can make a quicker move to the fast jump serve.
So Lucena just making sure that he gets his feet moving.
Yep, exactly.
Making sure that he's busy to make the service receive. Again, Dalhausser's been consistent with this jump serve so far. Lucena moves around sharp on the angle and does make the dig, but it's a second chance for Spain and Gavira that gets a net band tickler, and we head to the technical timeout with Spain in control here at 12-9. So not the start that Lucena and Dalhausser were wanting in this first set of the men's semi-final. Herrera, Gavira, St. John have started very well.
Well, they're a great team. I mean, particularly when you get into conditions like this, when there's a little bit of wind and it's hard to control the ball, teams with great ball control are going to have an advantage. Not to say that Nick and Phil don't have it, but you're going to find that the shorter teams, you know, are going to have an advantage with the wind if they can control the ball.
The style of this game is a bit of a contrast compared to Musen and Allison and Bruno in the first semi-final earlier on this afternoon. That was a big physical battle, that one. Teams are back onto court.
Yeah, you'll watch, you see Lucena, he's right on the back line. Watch him move up just as they make contact with the ball when they're serving so that he's in the right position to actually make the pass. And you know what? That messes up the server too. When the server sees you all the way back, they're going, what the heck is that guy doing? It kind of throws you off because you're used to seeing people 5-6 feet into the court.
Lucena, who now serves, goes straight after Pablo Herrera from the left, who crushes one down the line. I think Dalhausser jumps in late on the angle. Lucena trying to sweep up the high line, but the power from Pablo Herrera was too much for Spain.
Well, they're splitting the court. On that one, Phil was taking the angle, so the line hit was open, and Lucena was coming over for the shot, but not for the hit. You can't get all the hits and all the shots. You got to split things up.
Sacrificing certain areas of court. Leaky pass from Dalhausser, but the set's magnificent from Lucena. But a second chance for Spain to deliver in transition. It's Adrian Gavira again that loves coming back to that line off the block, and it's another point to Spain.
Yeah, that time high off Phil's hands, very high, so that goes out of bounds off his hands, and no way to play that ball. Nick was on the other side of the court.
It's an interesting race for the Olympic berth, St. John now. Lucena and Bruno, who were sixth as Lucena fires one wide, who was sixth in the Olympic race, now obviously sacrificing points to play with new partners.
Yeah, you know, you can be through the Olympic qualifications halfway through, and if you don't think you have a good chance at the games themselves, then the athletes are going to try to make the switch where they can do the best.
Spain with a 5-point lead at this time out. Gavira and Herrera have been too consistent so far in this semi-final matchup. Coming off a poor result in the CEV Masters in Biel last week, Herrera, Gavira have really bounced back.
Well, I don't. It's very, very difficult on the tour these days to be consistent at the very top every single tournament. I mean, there's just so much good competition coming from all over the world. It's nearly impossible. And the teams that do it, you know, they're very, very special teams.
I guess that you'll find the top teams will try and periodize and peak at certain performances as well at certain events that are more important.
Yeah, I would say yes, but nobody doesn't try as hard in any of these events.
Yeah, I agree. Dalhausser seems to be struggling a little bit, St. John, with his service receiver. A lot of the passes are just heading to the right side of the court.
Well, sometimes for Phil, he's not used to getting served, so if he's not mentally prepared to receive serve, he will make mistakes.
This has been one-way traffic, which has been a surprise, and it's really silent to the crowd. More service pressure from Spain and Adrian Gavira, but this time it's long, so Dalhausser needs to try and make some points up from the baseline.
I'm not sure why they didn't go right back to Phil, and that happened before as well. They made a point off Phil, and then they don't go right back to him. Very close. That was the same ace he had before, but he just missed that one long.
6-point game. 4 more will do it for Spain.
I don't know if you noticed, Phil was walking back to the other side of the court, and he was looking at where the ball hit the ground. He knows it missed by just an inch or two.
Game of small margins for sure. It looks like a jump float serve from Herrera. Lucena is the target. He loves hitting that angle. It's a quick arm that Nick Lucena has.
Yeah, he got all the way to the ball, jumped up and down, reached high, and snapped it cross court. Nobody home. Block, very difficult to get that far into the angle to block that one.
Lucena was playing with Theo Brunner up until a couple of weeks ago. Teamed up with Jose Loyola. Now, Dalhausser and Lucena working with Paul Baxter.
There it is. They're having great success sneaking it down the line around Phil. Phil's trying to split the court up the last couple times, blocking the line, but they're somehow, some way able to get it by him.
Posing customer Phil Dalhausser, but that's a big ace from Gavira, and that sums up this first set for Spain. The service pressure that they brought to this match have put Dalhausser and Lucena under all sorts of problems. It's not the first time we've seen that husband and wife serve.
Yeah, I think the serve, you're right, I think the serve has been the difference this match, and the Spanish team have really taken advantage of the wind, the way it's blowing, and putting the U.S. team in trouble. There it is again.
Spain have served 4 aces in this one. Dalhausser from the middle, but he's limited in his options. So that's a turn and a play on 2 from Herrera, and that brings up set point for the Spanish.
Well, that's the second time I've seen the net open on the American side. They've got to come up and block every single time the ball goes over the net. Phil is too strong not to be at the net blocking every single time.
Is there a consistent fault here with Dalhausser? Everything he passes seems to be to the right side and leaking to that front right area. Lucena to stay in the set. It's a high line and it's a good one, and it keeps the United States in the set, but they're not really in touch. Spain need to side out to win the first set and have 1 foot in the gold medal match.
Yeah, Phil's probably going to go for this one, probably 50-50 chance that it's either an ace or it's out.
Typical high-risk serving from Phil Dalhausser. The best server on the tour many a time. This time it does drop into the net, so it's Spain that have started the better team here. Herrera and Gavira are 1-0 up here. The teams are going to time out and we'll be right back. So Herrera Gavira have upset the odds here. They've taken the lead 1-0 against Nick Lucena and Phil Dalhausser, 21-13. Sinjin, what do Lucena and Dalhausser need to do here? How are they going to be using this time in between sets?
Well, right now they should be telling each other, hey, let's forget about the first set. Let's start out good. Let's make sure we pass the ball and put the pressure back on them. I mean, that's really all they can do. You know, the pass was critical, receding serve. The aces, you're not really going to be able to do anything about that. You're going to get ace every once in a while if the other team is serving tough with good control. So you got to give up a couple aces. Phil is probably going to ace, you know, throw in an ace or two. So that's kind of an equalizer. But the big deal is Phil's got to pass that ball. Pass the ball and then put pressure on the other team blocking.
Seems to be attacking a lot from the centre area, Phil, who hasn't made a block in this first set. They're going to have to try and rise that tally, the American team. The interesting stat from the first set was that Spain made 7 errors, and they were all service errors, but they also made 4 aces as well to the USA's 1, and that's more service pressure. Gavira off the net again, Dalhausser, full stretch dive, and just a half-hearted snap from Herrera, but didn't quite get vertical in the air, but the fast arm put the ball to the sideline.
That's a great point for them. First the tough serve, but Phil made a great hit on it, and then they scrambled the Spanish team to put it away. So that's a great point for them to start this second set.
Gavira has the ball in hand, and they're really going to want to carry on from where they left off in the first. More big topspin jump serves. This time Lucena's the target. Slightly wider ball from the pin. Lucena hits down the seam. And I think that's Lucena at its best. We've seen the angle from Lucena, the high line, but that's the first time we've seen him hit between the block and defense.
Well, you know, it starts with a great pass right up in front of him. Phil setting the ball almost straight up and down, and which allows Nick to come in, see the whole court, hit it high.
Lucena now doing a little bit of jump serving himself. Herrera just fades one away past the left hand of Dalhausser. Teams are just trading away here.
Yeah, Phil's got to be more aggressive. He's just too big not to go after that ball. When the ball gets close to the net, I don't care what he calls, he's got to go after the ball on the block.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Dalhausser, and when he's at his best, you almost see his head arching over the net as well, and his shoulders too. Quite see that on that photo. Lucena's finding some rhythm in his side out, but he can't kill the point. But Dalhausser has to go, but he's well off the net. Gavira does well to get the scoop, but Herrera was never going to go after that one. Point to the USA, and it's a little bit more encouraging for the new pairing of Lucena and Dalhausser.
Well, they haven't done anything real special just yet. They've got to do something special if they're going to win this set, but they're hanging in there, and it's still early.
A lot rides on this man. He is a game changer, Phil Dalhausser. He can really light it up from the back line. It's a fast snap from him from the back line. And there he waits on the block, Dalhausser, and sends that ball back exactly where it came from.
So that's what he's got to do. He's got to take charge at the net. He's got to change the momentum of this match. And that could have been it right there. It gives Phil and Nick the energy that they need to push harder to take over the match.
It's actually fascinating. Nick Lucena hasn't been his animated self so far in this one. He's a player that, in my experience of watching him, gets heated up a fair amount. Dalhausser again, who's going to want to try and keep Spain under some pressure from the baseline. Herrera's the target. It's off net, but he does well to get out and then get his feet to the ball and shoot high line.
Very deceptive, Herrera, with those arms. I'm telling you, he's got really long arms. He jumps well, but his arm, the length of his arms, he's able to hit it off the top of Phil's hands, and that's no easy feat. Reaching high, getting it off the very top of Phil's hands. Not many players can do that.
Lucena sitting back deep on the baseline, ready to receive serve. It's a good serve. Feels the target again. He's off the net, but he does well to get out and try and get his approach. He goes line, but well read from Spain. And Herrera to transition, but Lucena's equal to it. Phil at full stretch, and they have to bump. Phil Dalhausser has to get in as quick as he possibly can. Adrian Gavira shoots angle over the top of Dalhausser and ends what's one of the most exciting rallies of the game.
Yeah, great play right there. The Spanish team got the set, took a look at the other side of the court. Nick had broke real early to the line, which left the angle wide open, so they took advantage of that and cut the ball into the angle.
See, that's good vision from Gavira.
Absolutely.
Or a good call. You'll see the Spanish are so good at looking at the bottom of their jump.
It's not an easy thing to do when you come approaching to hit the ball. You're looking at the ball, and you have to take your eye off the path of the ball to see where the opponents are.
It's Gavira that rattles one into the net. She said they go high risk for high reward in the first set, making 4 service aces and 7 service errors, which is frightening when you think the USA only won 13 points in that first set.
You know, it's a tough thing. The jump serve comes at you. You're playing for a certain angle on the ball. It touches the net, and then that angle changes, and then you have to react to it, and you've already left your feet. Very difficult thing to do.
This time, Lucena does find the platform, but Dalhausser shuts down Pablo Herrera for the first time in that match. This could be set-defining, St.
It's all about momentum, and now the U.S. team has the momentum, and it's all about that block.
It's more of the Dalhausser that we're used to seeing. He gets up early. It's a force to be reckoned with, Phil Dalhausser. Nice little run this from Lucena. First time The USA have taken the lead in this game. Goes around late on the angle, Lucena, but can't keep the ball in the air.
Well, that's a play where they're setting the back set, so the player comes around and hits from the opposite side of the court. It can mess up the defense because when you call as a blocker, you're calling angle. That means you're blocking the angle, but all of a sudden he's coming from the different side of the court, and you have to adjust, and your partner has to adjust on the fly.
Work that time for Spain. More service pressure. Look, Lucena's on his knees. Flying dig from Dalhausser, left-handed. Goofy swing from Lucena's long. Dalhausser at full stretch, showing why he's been called best setter 5 times on the FIVB World Tour.
Well, that's another one of those serves that hits the net and then jumps the other direction. Lucena just barely got his hand on the ball, and then Phil had to dive for it.
Lucena are committed to the angle of that serve very early. More service pressure from Spain. It's relentless in Spanish. No block, so Lucena takes advantage.
I'll tell you what, that is just a crazy good set by Phil. The pass had a ton of spin on it, and it was deep into the court. Phil stepped right in, grabbed that ball, and I don't mean literally, but grabbed that ball and set that ball perfect for Nick.
Gets his feet into an incredible position, Phil Dalhausser. Going to have to try and find some more rhythm in this jump serve that has got better in this second set. Dalhausser, left-handed toss, right-handed swing. On 2 for Spain, no good. Change of ends. It's Dalhausser and Lucena that lead 8-6 here in Long Beach. The Beijing Beast is starting to heat up in Long Beach. Change of ends. Let's see how that affects his rhythm behind the baseline as the USA are on a 5-2 run here.
Phil was going for everything on that one. He hadn't served that serve yet this match. Turns it back to the line, but it didn't even get close to the top of the net. And I think that partially was because the wind was blowing the ball away from him.
Do you think that every time there's a timeout, we see time and time again, or a change of ends, sorry, that the next serve, there's an error?
Yeah, the momentum changes. The feeling of the game. You know, you're rocking, and all of a sudden there's a break. So you got to get ramped back up, and it's hard to do.
Herrera with a knuckle down the line. It's the first play we've had since the change of ends. He was quite tight there, Pablo Herrera. He got his knuckles out and delivered with the pokey.
Long arms. That's all about long arms, and he has the longest arms out here, and he's reaching just to barely touch that ball and get it over Phil's hands.
See that.
Tight set, reaching high, pokey over the block.
That's his 10th kill of the game, Pablo Herrera. He's serving straight down the line to Lucena. He's now in the inside. He's going to turn it back line, surely. Yes, he does. That's Nick Lucena all day long. He gets his feet inside the ball. Very much like Todd Rogers sometimes, good at getting his feet inside the ball, steering it back to the line.
Yeah, Todd loved to hit that ball out of the middle, which gave him the opportunity to chop it back to the line or chop it short on the cross court. And that time, Nick did the same thing, passed it to the middle. The set was straight up and down. He came all the way to the middle and then back to the line on the attack.
I'm sure you've got that one in your locker as well, St. John.
Yeah, I used it a few times.
Back-up serve. Can't get over the net. 2 service errors in a row from Phil Dalhausser. I think we should keep an eye on that one.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very key in the result of this one. Gavira serves and gets him to play defense. Lucena, I think he's in too early. Can only miss the sideline by quite some distance.
Yeah, he went in and tried to hammer that ball across court. I think he thought that the hands were there, and when he swung at the ball, the hands were not there, and that just flew out of bounds.
Pressure's starting to build again, and there's a little bit of unrest in the Long Beach crowd. Lucena, again, he does well to make the angle off his forearms. From the outside again, he just turns it back to the line. Nick Lucena, double hand tap from Dalhausser as we head to the technical timeout. The USA, well, the best way we can describe it is that they're hanging on in there.
Giveaway. We've got Megan and Laura. And right behind us, they're hiding a bottle of Paw Patrol shampoo in the sand. If you can
We're in the technical timeout, and it's Lucena and Dalhausser, the new pairing that has had a lot of media attention on them, that lost the first set by some distance, 21-13, but they find themselves right back in the game here. They're leading at the technical timeout. And Sinjin, what's been the difference between the first set performance from Dalhausser and Lucena to what we're seeing now?
I think the big difference is Phil. If Phil gets to the net and gets a few blocks, it changes everything. Not only for them, not only gives them a good push and brings some momentum on their side, but it hurts the other team. When you see Phil up there and you can't get the ball by him, that hurts, and you remember it. It takes a few plays to get over that.
I was actually speaking to their coach, Paul Baxter, earlier on in the week, and Paul was saying that they're working with Dalhausser on being active all the time in the block and staying alert and alive. Sees that one early. It's a flying dig to try and get Dalhausser on the net. Pablo Herrera wins that battle, but he hasn't won the war with Dalhausser. Dalhausser very rarely shows some emotion, but he's had a little bite there at Pablo Herrera. I'm not sure quite what for, Sinjin.
Well, the ball was traveling over the net. Herrera reached and got to that ball. Phil thought that he reached over the net and attacked the ball before it got to the net. The referee says, nope, the ball crossed the plane. Once the ball crosses the plane, it's anybody's ball.
Dalhausser is not having it all his own way out there this afternoon. Lucena starting deep in his reception area again. Dalhausser's the target, getting a little bit jolty in his pass again. It's too straight, but Lucena does well to save it, but there's only a continuation play. Second chance, no second chance, with Adrian Gavira around, just steering the ball to the sideline.
And it started with what? Bad pass again. Another bad pass. So Phil's got to really, really concentrate on that pass.
What would you say is the limiting factor within Dalhausser's passing at the moment?
The limiting factor, I think, is his head. He's just got to concentrate on the pass. I really don't think he feels like he's the target out here, and if you're not, then you're not ready.
Ball goes down the middle again. Lucena gets his feet into the ball, and he gives Dalhausser a push and gives him a tap on the backside to try and fire up his partner. That's typical Lucena.
And that's sometimes what Phil needs. It looks like he's sleepwalking. He plays better than most everybody in the world in his sleep, but he's not going to beat this team unless he wakes up.
Do you think that's the difference between a Rosenthal and a Lucena? That little bit of fire there to try and change the game. Dalhausser one-on-one at the net. Left-handed, southpaw down the line from Dalhausser. Now he's fired up. Maybe that prep talk from Lucena gave his body a helping hand out there.
Absolutely. I think that might have been just enough to get Phil fired up. Of course, getting that point helps too.
Yeah, winning a battle at the net like that one.
You know, he finishes the play. He looked a little bit like Kerry Walsh going up with the left hand, a little awkward, but up high enough with enough control to get it over the block.
Kerry Walsh has been a typical awkward left-hander.
Yeah.
All week.
She's getting better and better, though.
Yeah. I quite like the way that she's changed her approach to make sure she goes and gets it on that right side. The pass is tight. Dalhausser's in the game here, surely, but no block this time. The ball from Pablo Herrera, using that outside, as you said in the first set, Sinjin, just using the block to the advantage.
He's just a tough guy to block with those. I'm telling you, the long arms. It's tough to figure out where he's going to hit the ball. Phil's up there. He would block most people on that exact same set, but not Herrera.
Would you say that possibly they might have to change up the serve? And
yeah, they know they've seen these guys play. They've played against them. They've got to feel it out, figure out who they can take advantage of. They're still going back.
Lucena going directly into the wind. Dalhausser again gets beaten, this time on the angle. That's a big crushing blow from Spain.
You know, Phil is so high on the block that it's easy for teams to hit underneath him. He's got to reach into that angle and take all of it away.
The biggest lead in this game by either side has just been 2 points. We're tied at 14s. Dalhausser, Lucena on the right side. The dig, that is from Gavira. Second chance, Dalhausser from the centre, snaps angle, and you can hear the Long Beach crowd. They're starting to get behind their team. Dalhausser has definitely woken up in the second half of this set.
Great dig to start the rally off, kind of unexpected, but then Phil came back with the big cross-court hit.
Dalhausser again in the game. The lead has changed 5 times in this semi-final. That initial bit of defense was very, very strong. Player of the set, Gavira again finds the gap between Dalhausser, who was trying to break the block. No good that time from the USA, but a very strong play from Gavira.
Phil made it back up to the net to block after serving, but then he backed away, and I'm not sure why. That set was close enough where if he had been at the net, reaching over into the angle, it would have been another block for him.
I guess the bigger the blocker, the less that you want them breaking.
Yeah, exactly.
You see teams like Marco Garcia, the second Spanish team, who will break a lot and they'll jump in late on the block, but Dalhausser and your big blockers, your Semenovs, your big monster blockers like that, surely they've got to spend more time at the net.
Yeah, sometimes a block that big, even if it's a bad set and you stay at the net, you're going to mess the other team up.
Lucena needing to find a little bit of fire. The reverse set again goes to go. Just finds a knuckle, one-handed, full stretch dive from Lucena is exemplary, but Spain again with Gavira quieten the American crowd. How many times are they going to do that this afternoon?
Ball control, ball control. They get to that ball, they put it near the net, they put it away. They do it consistently. Yeah,
full
Nick,
stretch dive.
He barely gets that ball, just gets it up.
Spain go crazy. They're super fired up in Long Beach because they're sensing a little bit of an upset here. Against the home favourite net band serve. Lucena has to get up and he has to try and find the fingers. A double touch from Phil Dalhausser, who's complaining.
Well, I'll tell you what, right now, Phil is such a great setter that they penalize him. If he doesn't contact the ball absolutely perfectly, he's going to get called on, and that's what happened right there. That set was as good as most people set anywhere. And because it wasn't absolutely perfect, which is the way Phil sets all the time, then he is penalized.
Would you not say, though, St. John, that the left hand pushed through a little bit more
Absolutely,
than the right hand?
No. He clearly did not touch the ball perfectly like he normally does. But nobody out here contacts the ball perfectly every time. But because he is so good, he's going to be penalized more if he doesn't make it perfect.
Dalhausser really isn't happy. It's made Nick Lucena actually call a timeout, and there's another lead change here. Herrera, Gavira, who have been the more consistent team here, I think, as St. John was saying, better ball control. Going to see it again, St. John.
You know, the ball barely spun right there. It not enough for me to make that a bad set. Again, not a great set for Phil, but when you look at across the world in all these World Tour events, that set will not be called by most other people, but because it's Phil, because he has such great hands, they're going to call it on him.
The important thing now, surely for Dalhausser and Lucena, is not to dwell on that too much, because we're just about to enter what's, for them, the most important time of this whole competition.
And that, you know, that's a good timeout, by the way. I mean, they look like they were kind of making a move, holding their own, and then that really can hurt you, that kind of a call, when you don't expect it. So good to slow things down and then get things back under control.
Herrera's serving, charging into block. Lucena's the target again. From the right side, Lucena has been blocked straight down from Pablo Herrera, and again the Long Beach crowd is quietened here.
Now that set was a little tight. I don't think Nick had many opportunities to do anything with that ball. Just really tight. Block is right there, nowhere to go.
How much would you say the last set contributed to that set being tight from Dalhausser?
I'd say about 80%. Because he was stronger with the left hand before. That time he made it even and it just drifted towards the net.
Well, now they're in struggle city, the USA. Dalhausser on 2. We haven't seen that so far. Dalhausser taking matters into his own hands, taking it early, shaping it back down the line. Change of ends. The USA is still in touch here, but it's Spain that are in control.
You know, Phil has had opportunities to hit that ball on the second contact, but he hasn't taken advantage. I think he realized now is the time, and I think that's a good choice by him, and he should use that more often.
I've seen Phil Dalhausser this week use the 2-ball a lot more. Do you think that's a sort of where he is in his mind today, that he's not taking that 2-ball on as much, or is it Lucena's done? That's an ace from Dalhausser. That's the way to get the crowd fired up. Dalhausser has woken up, he's risen, and he's brought the USA back to all square.
Attacking that second ball, I think, should be part of their offense. He should use it 2, 3, 4 times a game if he possibly can.
But I think we've seen that from Dalhausser within this partnership, just not in this game, which could contribute to what you were saying earlier with him not quite being in the same zone as what he's in on other days. But then I say that, and then we see a jump serve that's an absolute rocket down the middle. Dalhausser again, serving from mid-court. Chances are he's going to go straight down the middle again in true Dalhausser fashion. He does go to the left-hand side of Herrera. Scooped out the net from Gavira. DIY from Dalhausser. Big serve, big block. That's 3 in this set from Phil Dalhausser, and he has taken matters into his own hands here in Long Beach.
I'll tell you what, you rarely ever see Phil that fired up after he blocked that ball. He showed emotion, not for 1 second, not for 2 seconds, but for about 4 or 5 seconds, and you rarely ever see that out of Phil.
It's advantage back to the USA, when 5 minutes ago they weren't dead and buried, but it was certainly advantage to Spain. Look at that Phil Dalhausser, as you said, fired up, revving here. We go to the timeout.
Going over you on a tight, okay? So you go ball up. Right. But if that set stays inside, he's going to try and annihilate an angle. Here we go. Way to give ourselves a chance.
Most of the talk in that timeout coming from Nick Lucena, St.
And that's what I would expect. Getting Phil ramped up. Nick would love to see another ace from Phil. Absolutely love it.
It's Dalhausser with a full house, egging him on from the baseline, that needs to find a big serve. At least get Spain out of system. They are slightly out of system here from the outside. Gavira, Lucena is equal to it though, so Lucena, one-handed takeoff, and there's a change round. Lucena's in the block, Dalhausser goes down the line and gets the scoop. Lucena's chasing hard. The second time USA have got to dig the ball. This time Dalhausser can get in to block. It's Pablo Herrera, third time of asking. Lucena makes the dig. Epic stuff from both teams. Fourth time, Dalhausser with the block. 4 blocks in this set from Dalhausser. Persistence in defense from the USA pays off, St. John.
You better check Phil's heart rate, because I think it's up over 50.
check Phil's. I think I want to check mine.
By the way, Phil made an absolutely incredible dig at the beginning of that rally. Came over to the line, stretched out in front of him, popped that ball up. Unbelievable digs from both. Great digs from both players. And
Lucena, like Sanders, that one was huge from Lucena. Twice at full stretch, chasing down balls. Set point to the USA. Dalhausser has won the last 3 points with an ace and 2 blocks. Big celebrations from the team in red.
Lucena staying up the block was brilliant too.
Dalhausser went really late, early on the line. Oh, this time from Dalhausser is close, agonizingly close, but the ball dropped short. That's a big play from Dalhausser, ace and 2 blocks at the most crucial time of the set, and really, they would have taken this engine a side out for the set. Lucena from the right side. We're going to a tiebreaker in Long Beach. Lucena stays cool, he stays composed, and he shoots high line over the top of the Spanish block. Sinjin to race to 15.
Well, you know what? They're giving this crowd from the U.S. a great show. I mean, we couldn't ask for anything more. Now we go to the tiebreak. Everything's on the line. 1 game to 15. I would suspect that Phil and Nick are ready to play now, and they're fired up for this third game.
As we see that line over from Lucena, I'm sure percentages would have said that he would have tried to bring that one back to the line. Clip off the block is good enough to send us to a tiebreak.
Nick Lucena, Phil Dalhausser, down 18-16. Come back and win 21-19. We play to 15. You win, you play for gold on a Sunday.
We're tied at 1 set all in this semi-final. Herrera Gavira were dominant in the first set, winning 21-13, serving bombs from the baseline. But Dalhausser and Lucena, Dalhausser especially, has been the game changer, Sinjin, in that second set.
Absolutely. Blocks and serving. That's it. Blocks and serving by Phil. Of course, Nick has got to side that ball out. He's got to put the ball away when he gets the served at him. So he did his job. Phil did the rest.
We're almost ready to go again. Herrera Gavira, how will they be feeling?
You know what? The momentum has got to be with Nick and Phil. It has to be with them. And I feel it. I sense it. The crowd feels it. And having the crowd on the American side is a big help for them. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Spanish team right now.
Will a lot depend on the start?
It always does. In this short game, the 15, the start is critical.
If Dalhausser fires up again, it's a long, long way back for Spain. And it is Dalhausser who has the ball in hand. Just until Dalhausser fashion spinning the ball. He brings the ball above his head before he spins it again. Left-handed toss, charges through it. Net band ace from Phil Dalhausser. And maybe Lady Luck is on the side of Phil Dalhausser and Nick Lucena.
You can't get too dug in. I mean, that ball bounced up. They could have got to that ball, but he was dug in for the heavy heat.
More service pressure, but much better from Herrera. He's on the inside and delivers a crushing blow on the angle that goes flying past the right-hand side of Nick Lucena.
That's a pretty darn good hit. Nick was way over to the line, and they just got it inside the court. Nick couldn't control it.
Would that be Dalhausser that you'd expect to take a little bit more of the seam?
No, I think he did his job. He took away the line, forced the ball to the cross court.
Dalhausser under service pressure again. Anyone's game at the net, but Dalhausser, well, he gets the small game, but the ball's not over. Now it is. Dalhausser, that long arm and the little knuckle is just about good enough to put another point on the board. Not pretty, Sinjin, but good enough.
Yeah, you at this point, you're going to take anything you can get.
Very well to react. Herrera. Very hard to react off a joust and chase it down. He did so, but he couldn't quite convert it. Opting for the flat float serve off the net here, Spain. Purposely off the net?
Well, purposely off the net because Phil's up, but not that far off the net. That set was about 3 meters off the net, and that's not an easy ball to attack. But he does a great job of it.
Off the net hitting is one of the toughest things in beach volleyball. Made it look very easy, Mr. Herrera. Lucena starting deep again. It goes to Phil though, and he's got to charge through the middle, and that's been a tactic that we've seen many times in Spain today, but Phil deals with it very well.
If Phil passes the ball, he's going to get a good set. More often than not, he'll put that ball away. He just gets in trouble when he doesn't concentrate, doesn't get that pass up to the net, where Nick can give him a good set.
Tactical ploy to possibly bring Dalhausser through the middle of court.
Yeah, you don't want to serve it right to him. Make him fight for the ball.
If he's on the outside, he's got more of an angle to maybe charge in it. Through the middle again, off the net. Spain struggling with their second touch here. Lucena tries to squeeze one down the line, but the block is very good from Pablo Herrera. But their setting is a problem here for Spain. That's two that we've seen just really drift off the net.
Yeah, made a great hit out of it. Just U.S. got the ball up, made a great dig. There's Nick right back on the back line. So watch him move up right as they serve the ball.
Gavira with the serve. Tomahawk defense from Herrera is good. Second chance for Dalhausser. Just cuts the ball into the open space.
I'll tell you what, Nick, I don't think wanted to take a chance. So he pushed that first ball up close to the net where Phil almost had to take a swing at that ball.
Hot potato time. And that's Dalhausser taking the initiative himself and putting the ball away. Lucena with the serve. He's choosing to spin serve from this end. Float serve from the right hand side. Gavira change up in the serve. Reverse play, and that's a high angle ball. It's very effective for Spain.
Yeah, Nick made his move early. They just looked at the court, angle wide open.
Would you want him to just wait a little bit more, or?
Yeah, make him do what he wants him to do. Let him see him make a move to the line and then come back to the angle.
And possibly, would you suggest maybe a double up? That's a good shot for Lucena. Just nibbling one down the line past the left hand of Pablo Herrera. 2 or 3 times that reverse play and the angle blocks beaten Lucena with the high angle soft shot. You see here, Lucena just doing what Lucena does best in getting inside the ball and sending it down the line. A lot depends on this man serving, St. John.
Absolutely. Serve and block. If he does his job serving, gets a few blocks, it's adios.
That's a tight set, and Dalhausser commands the sand again. There's a change of ends and a real momentum shift towards the USA. Dalhausser again, this time from the right side. That's been the more effective side throughout this whole day, really. Due to the wind conditions, St. John?
Absolutely. Easier to serve into the wind, and where the U.S. team is serving from, they have an advantage with the serve. Although, if it doesn't go over, you lose the advantage. Fascinating,
really. That's twice that we've seen Dalhausser try and go back to that line and only hit it halfway up the net. Spain back to 1. Gavira with a rocket, but Lucena approaches on the angle. That's a delightful shot from Lucena, accessing the deep middle play.
You know, great shot from Nick, but I'm telling you right now, not a very good pass, and just an incredible set. Phil has just amazing hands to be able to set that ball with that much spin on it.
That's Lucena speeding up the play again from the back line. Phil with the block. 2 blocks in a row. Second one is out of play, so it's a point to Spain. Gavira doing very well throughout that whole rally.
That first block by Phil, it was close to the net. He knew that he was going to have to push. He took both hands and pushed it with all his might to keep it back on their side of the court.
Pablo Herrera serving diagonally to Lucena on the straight approach this time. Tries to get the line, but it's well read from Herrera. They jump in angle and they get the defensive ball. Lucena again, second chance for Nick Lucena from Florida. Dalhausser, is there a net touch? Spain are asking for a net touch. Referee says no. St. John?
The ball hit the top of the net. I think what they're arguing is that Phil may have come over and attacked the ball before it got to the net. But you could tell it reached the net by the time he hit it, because when he hit it, the ball hit the top of the net.
Dalhausser again with 2-point advantage now. Dalhausser steams in, chasing another block, but Gavira
I don't know how. I don't know how he got the ball by. I have no idea. That ball's right on the net. Phil's hands are right there. He somehow got the ball beside Phil.
It's not like Phil Dalhausser's 6'2", is it?
No, not at all.
Just see here, just maybe underneath the left hand of Dalhausser.
Whoa. Not a good time to do that.
It's Gavira that almost sends one into the ocean. Serving right to left.
On what appears to be the good side where most of the points are being scored.
Lucena now drops the ball in short, trying to entice Herrera underneath the block of Dalhausser. No respect from Pablo Herrera, who unleashes one on the sharp angle.
I'll tell you what, that's a pretty darn good hit. Again, Phil's hands were right there, and somehow, some way, he got it inside of Phil and down with authority.
It's an unbelievable swing from the silver medalist from 2004 Olympics in Athens. They're 6th on the world tour list this year, Spain. 4th, you reckon. Phil on the slide manages to pop up the perfect set for Nick Lucena, who can go to town on that one.
Yeah, Phil continues to amaze me. He's almost diving off his feet, going sideways, contacting that ball, setting it perfectly for Nick.
Do you say that maybe 90% of players would choose to bump set that one?
Oh, yeah.
Just Dalhausser that tends to take it into his own hands, literally. Herrera again flirting with the net here. Ends up puddling the net. Pablo Herrera.
So Phil, once again, he tried to come back to the line with the serve, and that time he had success. It wasn't a very difficult serve, but because it was going away from Gavira, it was hard to pass.
At quite a high height as well. Phil Dalhausser again. Trademark, the ball goes high. On a 7-4 run here, the USA. Through the middle, reverse set. Nick Lucena parks and makes a phenomenal dig. Chance to extend the lead. Herrera, one-handed dig. Dalhausser from the right side. Finds the perimeter of the court. Double hand slap celebration.
Check Phil out now. Great set, and not many people will have success with a set that close to the net, but Phil was right there, and as tall as he is, as agile as he is, he hits that ball right over the top of the block deep into the court. No chance to make a play on that.
Initially, good defense from Herrera. Parks and gets his right hand to the ball, but that from Dalhausser is unstoppable. A big guy like Phil, if he hits the last meter of the court, surely it's hard for any defender to ever get a touch on it. USA will be the happier team. They need 3. That second set really did set the tone for the third for Phil Dalhausser, who charges in trying to make yet another block. That's another phenomenal swing from Adrian Gavira.
Yeah, he made the right choice there. Phil was definitely going and blocking into the angle. Nick making a late move to the line, but Nick's not going to try to dig the hard hit. He's just coming for the shot, and the hard hit went down.
Dalhausser sending the ball into the stars, so it's hard to set for Lucena, who does a good job, but Dalhausser maybe in a little bit too early, sends that one well long.
You know, Nick made a fantastic set on that pass. Difficult pass to set. Nick came in, reached high. I mean, Phil came in, reached high, and hit it out of bounds, but they're going to call a timeout because they know that was, they just lost a little bit of momentum that they had, so they're going to try to regroup.
It's a change up on the serve as well, as we head to the timeout. 12-10 for the United States. Sinjin, what would be your advice to Lucena and Dalhausser within this timeout? What would you be saying in this timeout?
They're both telling each other side out. Side out, side out, side out. Just side out one time, right now.
Not much instruction.
No.
Get the job done.
Hey, they know how to pass. They know how to set. They know how to hit. They just got to get their mind right.
It's a very much quietened Spain bench there from Herrera and Gavira.
Well, their backs are against the wall, but this game is by no means over. Still anyone's game. I'd rather be on the American side, though, right now. 2-point lead, game to 15.
This phase here could be the most important now. With Gavira behind the baseline, they at least need to try and get the American team out of system. Instead, they have an error again, a post-timeout service error. How often do we see that in beach volleyball?
It happens indoors and outdoors. The momentum stops. There's a break. You've got to get your momentum back. Can't make a mistake.
Lucena pushing the ball deep. Herrera from the left side finds the baseline. Right at the top of his jump there, goes through the ball. Pablo Herrera very well.
Good deep angle hit. Very good deep angle hit.
Those long arms again. Still a 2-point game. It's Herrera who's got the ball in hand. He's going to try and spin serve the United States off the court. Lucena does well with his platform. Great diving set from Phil, and the chop back from Lucena brings up match point for the United States.
Another great set by Phil. Nick comes in late but hard and fast. Chops off that hard angle hit.
Surely Dalhausser here phenomenally well to get balance in that set.
Ends up in the sand, but not many people do it like he does.
First match point to go to the gold medal match tomorrow. Dalhausser, it's a big hard jump serve. Herrera to stay in the game. Lucena Parks has a net touch somewhere against Phil Dalhausser.
Phil just a little bit excited, wanted to go after that ball, wanted it really badly. Just touched the net.
This has been a fantastic comeback from Lucena and Dalhausser, but they've still got some work to do. Dalhausser serves to the inside again from the centre. Dalhausser, and it's just long from Phil Dalhausser. Agonisingly close, but all of a sudden we're back to just one. 2 missed side outs in a row, St.
Yeah, pressure's on. Pressure's on for both teams. Now U.S. has to score now. They do not want to get to deuce.
Adrian Gavira, Spain have won 5 out of the last 7.
And
this one is the most important.
And they're on the good side of the court.
Service again to the left of Dalhausser, who does get out well. He's going to have a swing off the game, off the block. Nick, Lucena and Phil Dalhausser have come back from a set down to win in the tie break. 15-13. It doesn't get much closer than that.